So anyway, balance, right?
Balance.
We came out of a lot of balance from the last update.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was huge. So now we're able to come back and fine-tune some of the things that maybe got missed.
Thank you, body pad.
A million things you did. Like it was.
We miss things?
No, you don't ever miss things. I miss things like socks, shoes, and smile.
Hey, you're wearing them today. We're good.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I'm over here dancing in circles. Let's get into some conquest.
Yeah, let's
about it. So just in general, Unleashed Titans getting a little bit of a change up, right?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So we heard the feedback that the Titan fights can be a little bit lackluster sometimes, and we're trying to encourage a more active choice in terms of actually participating in these fights by making the Unleashed Titans give local golden XP rather than global golden XP. And so you might say, well, that's kind of just less gold across the map. And, technically it is, but it is going to incentivize you to actually go and do it because the reward for those Conquest Titans, or the Unleashed Conquest Titans to die, was very, very big before. So I wanted to make it a little bit more purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's something that would happen when the Unleashed Titans, right? It's a very scripted point of the game.
Yeah.
Both teams, the Titans would die eventually, and both teams would get that influx of reward no matter where they are.
Yeah.
But now with them being local, like Limby said, it's going to incentivize as a team trying to probably be by the Titan fights.
Exactly.
It's still not a necessity. If you want to do like Fire Giant instead or something, that might be the better play. But if you're fighting by those Titans, you're now going to be able to get the local reward. And the other thing that actually means is that if one team is ahead and pushes the other team off of the Titan and kills the Titan, they might end up being like a little bit more of a snowball factor, right? Because the other team isn't there to get that local reward.
Yeah.
So while the reward is smaller overall because it's going to be local and shared, it's now a little bit more purposeful.
Exactly.
And like you said, it's cool because
It's not that big of a change. It's a little change.
That choice, the intensity of choice.
You know,
Do
it's a
I
little
go get
change.
that bonus by diving in and joining with the Titan fight?
This will have a small,
are we more incentivized to take
probably
a gold
not
Fire Giant
noticeable
or Siege in
change
opposite lanes?
in your game.
It really does. It puts that
For the average
decision-making
player, this will not
higher
change
up
your
on the
game
tier
flow.
list. I think
High
that'll be
level,
really
maybe a
cool.
little
I
bit.
agree.
Maybe a
Next
little
up, one more conquest change. So Soul Surges. Lots of stuff going on with those massive bubbles with ghosts
There we
and
go.
movement speed and death timers outside of conquest.
Movement
So
speed
what's
buff.
happening with those?
Yeah, so the Soul Surges
Reduced
are one of
to
the
the
new
Soul
seasonal mechanics
Surge,
alongside the
decrease the
Unleashed Titans.
spirit
This one is
movement.
on all the different game
And
modes.
the base
Um,
HP.
We've seen pretty mixed reception, like let's be honest here. And one of the main things
Let's
is
be honest
also
here.
not just the zone effects itself, which have been honestly pretty fine and stable. We actually think the movement speed is something we wanted to tone down a little bit because we saw a lot of complaints.
I'm
about movement
always
speed across the
pro
board, getting
toning
a little
down
bit
movement
too
speed.
crazy. The minions is something
Always.
that we addressed once. We're going to continue looking at them and addressing them again. We want to assess how this is going to feel going into the next season, if we want to keep them, if we want to remove them, the surges or the minions specifically. And so this is just a next pass on seeing if we can alleviate some of the concerns, some of the frustrations. Decrease their health scaling a little bit more, decrease their movement speed. So they're actually not going to get to you as quickly. I think even their range is toned down just a little bit too.
Yeah.
So that way, just like if you're trying to get around a corner, if you're trying to leave, if you're trying to just even farm minions and just ignore the spirit minions, that's okay. They might not chase you down as hard.
That's handy. I've definitely had my back stopped a time or two, and I'm like,
Only a couple times.
Charon, come get your boy. So, but that's this update.
Yeah, this update he will be doing.
Exactly. That's what I've been waiting for. So, all right. Well, that does it for conquest changes. But let's get into some items, huh? Starting with Prophetic Cloak. You're getting a little bit of work done.
Yes, this was another community request, and in the last patch, if you guys will remember, we talked a lot about adjusting these protection values, all that good stuff. This was an item that was a very common community discussion point
Because
where
of the
we
reduction.
did not decrease these to just see, where the numbers fell, because a lot
So
of change
that is a prophetic
at once is,
buff.
of course, a lot of change. It's
Yeah.
sometimes really
Which
hard
is
to diagnose,
inadvertently a
okay, is
buff
it actually
to
going to be that
basically
difficult
all
to get
supports.
to this protection threshold value for Prophetic specifically?
Yeah.
And the answer was yes, it was. So we're going to be decreasing those thresholds by just a little bit, 75 at both thresholds. So
Baba
from
will
400
never
to
hit
325,
those thresholds,
and from
so it
600 to
doesn't matter.
525. So a little bit, but it's
That's
going to be
fine.
significant enough to where you're actually going to be able to get to
That's
those
fine.
values.
Yeah, actually,
Nothing wrong with the
relatively
prophetic
Got
change.
it. Got it. Well,
That's
next
fine.
up looks like Silver Branch Bow.
It's just support
half
buffs.
stacks,
It's fine.
giving stacks on stacks.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting because during the power pass, alongside the protections one and everything that we did in the last season, Silver Branch was one that we looked at.
They
and
nerfed
I mean, if you look
it
at
so
the
hard.
pass, if you look at the cap stacks, it actually used to cap at 100. It used to give you,
Sheesh.
honestly, an absurd amount of power. But the thing is, you never really used to hit that cap.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of discussion online, and one of the main reasons we brought it down to 20 is because that's still actually a very large amount of power, and it was meant to be a decision made so that Silver Branch could be picked up across a diversity
having
of different
40
types
power
of hunters, right? It wasn't
does
just for
make
the stim
it
hunters.
potentially
it was ones that
an
wanted to
item
just
for a
opt
god
into
like
attack
Apollo
speed.
or
Maybe
something
they had a
who
small
can
stim, maybe they were
actually
getting
properly
Shogun's Spectral or
utilize
teammates,
it.
and it was kind of just going to be ubiquitously good amongst all the different hunters. Now, we saw the discussion that we saw was honestly kind of in contrary to that. We saw a lot of people that liked the fact that this was a little bit more niche or more specialized towards the attack speed stim hunters, and we kind of concede that point. Like, I think that the team thinks that that's a
it might be worth the tryout.
Reason
Check it out.
to want to build Silver Branch Bow. It's not exactly the most meta item, anyways. And if you want to exacerbate and make your item builds even stronger with this for attack speed stim hunters, that's fine too. Going from 20 to 40 isn't going all the way back to 100. Yeah, but it is still an insane amount of power, especially
makes it an over 100 power items.
Honestly, it may be too much. But let's see how this
over
feels
100
with
power
the
is
new item
good.
builds with those stim hunters, and then if we need to tone it down in different ways, we still can.
That's the name of the game. You throw it out there. Like we make estimates, we have the play test, but y'all really take it and run with it. And it's when y'all get your hands on it, and we get like thousands of games worth of okay, they're popping off a little bit.
The data does show us after that amount of tests, you know, what it'll be.
So super cool. Next up, Toxic Blade, also getting a bit of a buff.
Yeah, this is just an underutilized item that even during the healiest of the heal metas during the season
cost,
it just wasn't picked up.
decrease stacks, and then increase the anti-heal debuff,
The first
and
way
the
is with
attack
decreasing the
speed
cost, so
buff
it's just
and
not as
debuff.
difficult to go into.
Yeah.
Additionally, we are kind of squishing the amount of time it takes to get to that maximum anti-heal threshold. So
I
what we're
just
actually
don't
doing
see
there
this
is
being an
decreasing the max
item
stacks by 1,
that
increasing
is
the
ever
anti-heal per
conquest
hit,
viable.
and then also increasing the attack speed
Maybe
buff and debuff,
one day it
per
becomes
stack.
like
So
a
basically it's
weirdly
going to be
strong
about
dual
the same
item,
overall efficiency,
you know?
in terms of the total stats
Like,
you're getting,
maybe
but it's
there's
going to be
something
a
there.
faster
build
happenstance. Yeah.
Like, and literally specifically the
make it a
1v1
little
because of
graceful.
the exchange.
I wouldn't want to be stabbed by a toxic
But
knife,
it's
so you
just
know
not
what?
a conquest item.
Any knife,
it's just
really.
not.
Yeah, true. Any knife,
You
don't
know?
stab me. So the last one in items is the glorious Pridwin, getting a bit of a nerf.
Yeah, so tank proc items have definitely been one of the main two things.
Pridwin
that
popped off a little bit.
Yeah, Pridwin popped off. We saw, med score spike. We see a lot of different discussions, and it's something that we're going to be continuously addressing. One that we didn't quite hit in bonus balance because we just wanted just that much more time to have a look at it was a glorious Pridwin, the one that explodes twice. And this is the change that we're doing. The 10% difference from 75 to 65 is going to break it from not being in line with the other ones, but it's also happening twice. So overall, you're going to be getting more damage.
Technically, this will still end up being a glorious Pridwin buff because
20% damage.
they're fixing it because right now it doesn't work at all. Right now it actually just doesn't work, so it still will just be a straight up bonus damage.
Anything that's described that way has to be good. So now let's dive into gods a little bit, starting with kind of a general change, not so much to a god, but to an array of gods across the mage variety.
So, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like you did.
Yeah, so the two main points that we had were the tank proc items, and that's something that we want to continuously look at. So we're not necessarily done with Glorious Pridwin. Maybe we need to address the other Pridwins. Maybe we need to have a look at like Gladiator Shield or some of the other items too. We want to keep that in mind. The other main topic that came out of this seasonal change was mages. Mages overall this year, it's been really interesting because we saw the change at the beginning of this year where hunters really weren't utilized, and then we saw double hunters crit going pretty crazy. And then
we've had so many different metas this year already.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's been pretty intense. But the one thing that has generally been a theme is that mages have been underutilized, underperforming.
20 extra
and not as
power
popular as before, and I think that's generally the case.
It just
across,
doesn't mean
most
anything.
game modes too. Is that if you want to pick up
this
an
is
ability
one of
hunter
those
over
like
mage, you're
doesn't really
still
mean
rather do
anything
that as well,
changes.
even though they might need some help too. Yeah. Now with the mage power changes, with the power changes in general, mages also were hit a little bit more than hunters were, because hunters
it's literally one
attack,
extra
can
power
fill the downtime between their abilities.
Per level.
Mages, unless you're an auto attack mage or a basic attack mage, generally you don't see that as much, which is actually why we're seeing.
If this is paired with other changes, it'll be fine. It just by itself it means nothing.
So this change that we made was kind of one out of like 3 ways we could have solved the same issue. Which is, we could solve it by items and tone back a little bit on all the items for mages, which would have just kind of flown in the face of what we were doing in the first place to reduce them. We could have looked at specific items that they needed and just added a little bit more power there. But then that kind of just puts a little bit too much emphasis on items that like we're choosing for the community, or like it just makes build paths that might be more important than other ones if we're not doing all the items, right? So it's hard to just pick and choose like, okay, well, we're just making this the item build that you go for now.
The meta item,
The mage class bonus actually solves this exact problem that we have in the exact way that we want it to. I know that like the community hasn't been super stoked about them per se, or they want some more interesting ones, but honestly, this is helping us really with the pressure valve that we needed. So mages are going to be gaining more power over the course of the game smoothly over time to an extra 20 by level 20.
Yeah, super handy. And
they know that doesn't
right?
mean anything, right?
Helped us diversify class roles.
They know that 20 power kind of by level 20 literally does not mean anything.
Their ability to flex, but how nice to have that now after such a huge
they have
change,
to know
have
that.
To start looking, what do we have to revert? You have another avenue.
Like that is
it's just there.
Yeah,
that is an aesthetic change
still being pretty good
above all
the percent
else.
pen changes that we did do in Precipice in bonus, and also just in the season itself, going back to the previous amounts. Mages should be in a healthier spot with this. We're going to keep monitoring as usual.
All the time. Like I said, as somebody who
that change
plenty, but
will
does not,
make
I'm not like in the
zero
design world like y'all are.
To be clear,
how you balance all of these things and
on
juggle
mages.
all of these. We have
to be
pin
clear,
and crit and all this.
No
it's
change.
So,
that's a lot of data.
Round of applause, y'all. Clappers in chat for these people. So. Cool. Well, let's get into some specific gods then, starting with not a mage, Amaterasu, getting a bit of a buff. No AJ here to you're out there, AJ.
Well, AJ's not here right now to be very excited
Psych
about
this one up, yeah.
Was that the end of the item
we
changes?
noticed that auto attack warriors are not doing as
going
hot
on to
as their
gods.
counterparts.
Is that the last?
Bluestone has been a very prominent part of the meta, and obviously you're not really building Bluestone on a basic attack warrior. So we wanted to give a little bit of help, specifically with her clear.
Man,
and so
that's
thought doing it on the
ugly.
mirror, but
That's
instead
so
we're going to be doing it on Glorious
lazy.
Charge, so that it gives you a little bit of
So
flexibility.
lazy.
All your eggs aren't in one
Wow.
basket.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit of a damage increase and a cooldown reduction as well by 1
Okay.
second.
Wow.
So overall, just a little bit more health.
Very
If you want
lazy.
a full commit to that clear by dashing the wave with your shield up, you're going to be able to do that with a little bit more efficacy, especially towards the early game.
Got it. Sounds good. So next up, Bastet. Kitty got claws, I guess. What's going on there?
Well, Kitty's claws were like, trimmed a
small
little bit from
AMA
before.
buff, that's fine.
She's
She
sharpening
needs
them
it.
up again. And honestly, that's what it comes down to. Is
Bastet
Bastet is always kind of,
she's
whenever she's good, she's
pretty
a powerhouse in the early to mid game.
not
And generally
great right
tends to
now, so
tends
that's
to fall
fine.
off, especially
That's fine.
unless she's like just getting ahead and she's snowballing. So just adding a little bit more power to the ticks of the Razor Whip should help her more towards the late game, and that's what we're really trying to aim for, is make sure she doesn't fall off so drastically. It's okay for gods to have strengths and weaknesses, but her weeknesses were pretty heavy into the late game.
Yeah.
Could this be due to the merging and moving around the company? I mean, if you fire a bunch of employees,
Good old boy.
Yeah, Serba has not been doing too hot across the board.
probably
And
have
you'd think
less
he would
people
again,
working,
from a healing meta, but
That's just how that
quite a
works,
bit.
right?
And so we want to give him a little bit of health back. So what we're going to do is Paralyzing Spit is going to have a decreased cooldown, so it's going to stay the same at rank 1, but as you rank it up, it's going to go down, and this ability is notoriously relatively hard to hit, I would say.
Okay, Serb buff is fine.
Considering you have to
You
hit
don't see a lot of
all 4
Serb,
of those
that's
little
fine.
projectiles
Yeah.
to get the stun, but it's going to
Also,
be
his
very
morale
helpful
pretty
in terms
hard,
of
yeah.
your lane clear. This
If
could
your
help you in
coworker
solo or
just got
support, depending
fired,
on what your matchup is looking like.
You're probably more concerned about
Ghastly
finding
Breath
a way
is
to
also
make sure
gonna
you can
be
put
cooldown
food on the
decrease
table
because,
and
again,
cover your own ass
this
than
is
you
going
are
to
like
just depend on your matchup. Can Ghastly
video
Breath get
game,
interrupted?
even if it's a drop. You
You
know
just
what I'm
have it
saying?
up
Like,
a little bit more often,
end
regardless
of
of
the
the
day,
situation. But it's not so punishing
everybody human, you
if
know?
it does get interrupted now.
Got it. Hey, always a fan of cooldowns. So, Raijin next up. I haven't heard a lot from Raijin recently. So
Poor little drummer guy.
Let's reverse up. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Well, so Raijin's kind of been
Raijin,
the
little
bottom of the
buff.
tier list for a while, unfortunately for him.
takes too long to do
But he
anything.
does deserve a little bit of love. So this is going to be on Percussive Storm, which is his clear ability, giving it a little bit of extra scaling because, again, this ability does take a while to go off. He's got to go through the beats, right? He's got to respect the measures on the
Oh my,
notes
You can't
there.
rush the tempo.
Yeah, it's true.
So we want to just give him a little bit of extra reward there. 5% scaling per hit is pretty significant across the whole ability, but again, it does take time to go off, so it's not going to feel as scary as that sounds, right?
Yeah.
Because again, you have the chance to juke it.
Very
but
small
you just need a little
changes
bit of
so
help.
far. I have
Little
not
love for
seen
the demo.
anything that
Next
is
up,
giving me
Team Up.
confidence
Up
right
next.
now, you know?
This is,
I'm
this
looking
is
for
the
like
main one. Yeah,
there's
feel
more
free,
confidence.
feel free.
If you're wondering why, I was just
All
looking
you.
ahead. Yeah, so Tiamat is one out of 2 gods, and we're addressing them here as well.
Tiamat buff,
that
question
the
mark?
community again was outcrying for a little bit
That
of changes to
can't
their
be true.
passives because with the power shifts, again, blah blah blah, like the numbers don't
a
scale
lot
as
of
well.
numbers move
You're getting
around.
less. You
Increased
need more things. So
mitigation
that's
from
we
magical
took that to heart.
power.
You know, I think in both of these cases, it's more of kind of like a nod towards the community. It's not to making sure that this feels more fair. These gods might not necessarily need heavy buffs right now, especially in the SPL. Mages weren't doing so
Right.
good. TMO was like kind of okay. Honestly, she's actually doing a little bit worse than the next one, which we'll get to. But the passive here is it's a 1% scaling change for magical power, which is going from 5% to 6%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the big number takeaways, you need 100 less magical power to reach the cap than you did previously. And that's pretty much more around the amount or more than we reduce from items across the board.
I understand that they're trying to like bring like the scaling in line with like the reduction in power items, but like she
was actually working as 30%
in
for
fact,
a little while now. I didn't
one of the better mages
exactly when,
right
but there was an
now.
error sometime in the past. We fixed the description. It's always been a cap of the 30%.
You know,
just a 1% power conversion there.
Yeah, it's like you said, 1% sounds so small when you say it, but then you blow it up to 100
It's like redress. Like I looked at the math. I talked to the programming team. I'm like, just want to make sure I'm not really messing this one up, right? It's like, no.
That's another thing these people do.
It's a weird change to buff one of the mages that is doing well. I'll be like buffing Baba Yaga right now. Like.
Listen, the math is complicated, but to be good at Smite, you don't have to know the math.
That's true.
You just gotta
balance it. You gotta know. That's why.
100 less magical power. We're good.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on to Uller. Also getting
actually pretty spicy.
Yeah, this is a very, very cool buff, if you ask me. So Uller has been doing not so great lately. Ability hunters overall not so great, but Uller is the kind of character that lives on a very fine line where he's either incredibly very good or incredibly very bad. And right now he's unfortunately incredibly very bad.
Actually, to be noted, two of the strongest win rate hunters in the game are ability-based hunters.
Again,
That's
he does
just not
need a little
correct.
bit more damage, especially because he is so
Chiron and Marty
he really does not
have two of the best win
into that
rates, a
attack
high-level
speed,
rank.
basic attack style. He can work like that. He's just not as good like
Uller is a
Nice
bad
thing.
god right now.
So we are going to give a
actually does
10% scaling buff to Hail of Arrows, but also for his ultimate, wield axes and wield bow, Uller is going to follow the trope of his other Norse counterparts that have stance switching, your
Half
Tyr and
the
your
buff,
Hel,
okay.
and he's going to gain half of the benefits of the other stance. So your extra lifesteal, you're going to get some lifesteal and bow stance, and you're also going to get some attack speed and X stance.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting to see people use that.
That is
so
a big
I'm really
buff.
excited for that.
Excited to see the plays.
That's a big passive buff for him.
Back in business.
Yeah, and also like while we did increase a little bit of damage, this spicier change doesn't just give him even more damage.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
It's a little bit of utility. It's a little bit of something different that helps round him out a little bit more because him being so heavily damaged and ability focused is obviously gotten to
You
be
kind of you put him in a box, and when the box is crumpled up and torn, he's just bad. But we're trying to make the box at least a little bit bigger, so this whole surface area is not always as messed up. I'm trying to make.
I believe that analogy works. I believe it.
Yeah, we all got
Hell
it.
yeah.
So.
Excellent. Okay, good.
All right, so let's move on. We mentioned earlier above Oleron, who's also getting.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. You want to do more math?
That's why I saw these two were.
Oleron passive is literally useless currently, so that makes sense.
The ones that I worked on, so I guess that's fun for me.
Yeah, this is your fault.
my bad. So yeah, Oleron, another one of the two gods, and one of the two mages specifically that we wanted to address with the power concerns, similarly like the same thing with Tiamat. Instead of the mitigations, also only in the ground stance for Tiamat, Oleron has the issue with his critical hit chance.
Yeah.
Now, I had this debate like back and forth with different people on, one, is it a necessity for an Oleron to hit the cap of crit chance? And in my honest opinion is I don't think you ever need to hit the cap. It's not a necessity for hunters to hit like critical hit chance. If you're getting towards it, that's what the cap is just there as a safety valve. That being said, the power changes have kind of pushed that conversation even further.
Yep.
So where it's now quite prohibitive to even reach like kind of close to the cap. So this time we've kind of reversed it on its head a little bit. We're actually for
he's gonna have more crit chance, but his
changing
crits are gonna
scaling
hit
from
less
1%
hard.
conversion for 10 magical power to 2%. Again, a 1% change, but what this really means is that you're going to be getting you need half the amount of magical power as you did to fulfill it to that passive. And that sounds like a pretty intense change for what we were talking about, but it also helps to kind of bridge the gap between that discussion that was kind of an issue. Which is
I don't know what to think
are
about
designed to
this,
be hitting
honestly.
critical hit, not just cap, but larger amounts of it. And now you can do that a little bit more easily. The threshold on the floor
I don't
is
know.
also going to be
I don't know if that's a
decreased to
buff
make
or
that,
a nerf
kind
for
of
him.
ramp up into the game.
It might be
faster. So now
neither. Maybe it's neutral.
We're kind of expecting Oleron's to crit more often, and due to that, this is actually a little bit of a shift because Oleron's critical hit damage multiplier is being reduced from 1.5 to 1.3.
that one's going to require hands-on testing.
Kind of increase or decrease Oleron's strength, and it's been very useful for us because honestly, whenever he gets a little bit too strong, that's what he kind of is featured to do the most, right? Oleron's critting is actually kind of one of his greatest strengths, other than his ultimate. So with those mechanisms in place, Oleron will be critting more often. It'll be easier to hit that crit chance cap or to large amounts, but the damage he'll be doing is going to be less. And then the last thing as well is by doing it from 1% straight to 2% and not anywhere in between, it makes it still quite easy to understand for players playing with Oleron or against Oleron where he is on that crit hit chance cap.
What's funnier than 24?
Now you can be like, oh, he's got 10 powers or whatever it may be. It's an increments of 10 against him without being in decimals.
Yeah. I mean, cool. Yeah, like you said, it's Oleron's a lot. Definitely not like out of the purviews of who I usually play, but I've played against a couple, and yeah, you know, it's or had them on my team, and it's an interest. He lives kind of in his own area, I think. I mean, among magical attackers, but with that ult and the way that he handles his crit, it's definitely a very unique experience. So it's cool to see that he's being helped like lean into that mechanic that's kind of exclusively his, while it's also not going to be completely crushing.
Yeah. So previously we were talking about buffs. Oleron is our first shifts. Now let's get into nerfs.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
get to nerfs. All right.
We got some
so
nerfs.
Starting off the nerfs, we have Achilles.
Yes, so we've heard the community sentiment
Gonna
around
reduce that execution threshold back down, yeah?
So I wanted to address one of the things that we talked about that we would possibly address in the future if we saw certain characters had outstanding bits, and that's the natural protections and power that are inside of God kits. And so Achilles, with Gift of the Gods, had free protections, had free power, so we're just knocking that down a little bit. A little bit.
Toning it down.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, yeah, good to hear. Achilles, every time he executes me, I'm like, go away. I don't care how hot you are and your
Didn't
giant
change the execute.
Very hot.
That's skin. Yep.
It's great.
Unfortunate.
All right, so next up on the nerf list, Hachiman.
Yeah, I mean, Hachiman got some pretty spicy changes to his passive, and they were just a little bit too spicy, so we're toning that down a little bit. The amount of attack speed that he got, you know, for free as something new was a little bit too high. We're cutting that in half, which is still providing him a lot of attack speed, but not nearly as much as it was.
It's still more than nothing that he had before.
Exactly.
True. Finding that happy little medium.
Yeah.
So. Next up on the nerf bucket, we have Ravana getting a little bit. Ravana's been scary.
Yes, this is another character that we've heard
decrease
quite a lot
health shield from 9 to 8%.
So we do think that this shield change, did help him quite a lot. It makes him very viable in tanky roles, especially when he can just keep punching away, keep getting more shields. So we do like that he is feeling playable right now. We just don't want him to be overwhelmingly playable. So we are gonna go halfsies on the change from last time. So we are going, instead of the 2% that he got before, we're going back 1%, and we're keeping a very close eye on him to see exactly how much
he's the number one pick band god in the entire game.
He's not going crazy.
Number one.
I mean, Smite is a game, but all of those
above every and like leaps and bounds, the number one pick band.
Pummeling me, so
leaps
I went back to base. Like,
bounds.
So, yeah, cool. Glad to see it. The last nerf we're looking at here is Tyr.
Yeah, I mean, we gave Tyr some new things on his ulti, and it's been pretty impactful. And if you look at his ulti cooldowns, like in the old days, they scale down to a pretty low amount. Yeah, we're not talking about raw level, but
I mean that's a good nerf. So that's like a real nerf.
It's 90 seconds across all ranks.
That's a real Tyr nerf.
Not so crazy when he does get to use his ulti.
Yeah,
20 seconds on the ultimate cooldown. That's a real nerf.
That
right there.
It can be really impressive.
Yeah.
So, cool. Sounds good. Well, that brings us to an end of our balance. So good stuff, guys. Excited to see again, with how huge the last change was, being able to now take a step back, take in the user data, that info from y'all in the community, and solo in on some of the things that kind of exploded. So you know, that's the cool thing.
We didn't touch Jorm
twice. The one
Hades.
That so,
Robin really didn't basically get touched at all.
Charon's
Baba Yaga, Marty,
let's check out some skins
anything.
Oh, why, hello there. I've been hibernating for so long. It's time to ready, go!
Greetings, traveler. I am a humble seeker of knowledge and wisdom. What brings you to my doorstep?
I really had high hopes for this patch, guys.
It is time to end this.
Oh, I really do think that this patch could be good, but it feels like they gave up on this season.
Of living life with no spark?
Wow.
Look no further than Thunder Rain.
It literally feels like they've given up on this season.
Unleash the beast within you.
That sucks.
You're in my city now, and if you want to survive, you better learn to play by my rules. Can't be
I genuinely think that they're calling this season an L, and they're just working on the next season.
Came back.
That's the only explanation. Like they've just decided it's not redeemable,
so
and they're just gonna start working on the
docket,
next
one. A lot of cool skins coming out in the next update. You just saw a bunch of them. Some from this new event, one from the bonus update, which we'll get to in a little bit. Or maybe you didn't see that one actually, but we'll show it to you anyway. It's cool. Spoiler. So this is called Charon's Journey in celebration of our.
I'm very disappointed right now.
Or making his journey.
The season is
so
fixable.
We wanted to have.
It's so fixable.
Really cool so like a lot of events of the past, for those who are familiar with events, there is a bunch of different cosmetics and skins you can get. And including an award skin, which is the Barely Alive Bacchus skin, which you've seen. So our scary zombie bear.
He's kind of cute. He does go hard on him.
Yeah, he's a zombie bear, but he has a pleasant demeanor, you know? It's not like he's looming.
He's really happy to be alive.
Yeah, to be
unalive.
Unalive. That's
real life.
The line is blurred. But yeah, so as you go through that event, there will be different cosmetics you can purchase, chests you can roll, and once you get a certain number of skins, you will be able to unlock that free reward. So look forward to that coming up with the next update. But let's preview some of the skins. Just take a little bit of a closer look at some card arts, starting with Atlas. You know I love Atlas. That's my boy.
That's pretty sweet.
Dude.
Yeah, that right there is the Solar Vanguard. And that is, I absolutely love it.
I love the little core in his chest. He's like powered by some kind of like astral energy. I mean, it makes sense, considering he's the astrolabe.
That's true. I love his astrolabe.
Cool.
It's like a black hole, and he has like he's even got a little utility belt.
Gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
You know
You're
what?
just hungry.
That's canon. Might be. This is a designer, so that's canon now. So those are gummy bear pockets.
How that works.
It's how I said it would work. All right. So next up, let's check out the card art for Poseidon.
Oh, this one's so cool.
Chaotic Surge Poseidon. Look at that Kraken.
Yeah.
Blood
Speaking of what you are seeing, there's something that also you're not seeing, and those are his legs.
And those
They're gone.
They're not there.
They're not there. Homeboy ain't got legs.
This skin is so awesome. I didn't. I was a little worried at first because I was like, "Oh God, is he gonna like portray Poseidon very well?" And you know what? In game, it looks awesome, and it does feel exactly like Poseidon. He just, doesn't need legs.
Yeah.
You like made of blood?
Wow, that sucks.
It's made of some like
or Kool-Aid or something.
I haven't even seen. I'm just
goop.
I haven't even seen the skins, man.
His blood sword's really cool though.
I'm
like
actually
a new take on the
just.
infinite skins, where like
I'm so
it's
flustered.
Not so much like the shiny.
I'm
astral
so
energy,
flustered.
it's like this chaotic
I literally
energy.
sent them.
I'm never gonna.
They
be able to
asked
show
me
scoop,
for
so.
what changes would be helpful, and I sent them a bullet point list of things that they could do. A bullet point list.
Yeah.
He wears his heart on his tummy.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
You know what? I'm actually just gonna mute this really quick, and I'm gonna read you the list that I sent them. Hey, can you send us over a list of things you'd like changed? Fantastic. In general, less proc damage from tank itemization. Example, less damage from Pridvin, Glad Shield, etc. We technically got less damage on Pridvin, but only on the double procking Pridvin, which technically doesn't even work right now, which means by the time they fix it, it's actually going to do more damage. Mages need power buffs class-wide. Technically, they did do that. 20 power class-wide. But more specifically, I was talking about, as I say later on, buffing anti-tank mechanics for mages. Example, making Soul Reaver better in terms of an anti-tank item. Less built-in power protections on kits to make sense with new numbers. Example, Zonqui passive gives too many protections. Herc passive gives way too much power. They technically address this on like one god by nerfing Achilles by like 5 protections and power, but not on any of the other characters. Okay? Global movement speed reductions for things on the beacon. Give it some sort of different buff instead. Movement speed reduction on items across the board, and movement speed reduction would also be nice. They technically did reduce movement speed a little bit, but only on the circle of the Phantom area, which gave 15% movement speed. Now it's giving a 10% movement speed. If the general power curve remains, there needs to be a larger overhead look at base damage numbers. Base damage numbers are really strong, and that means that you need to look at those base damage numbers, because if you're going to keep the newfound item numbers, you have to look at base damage numbers, because characters that have 4 damaging abilities are just overwhelmingly the meta, because base damage numbers are more important than anything else. Wasn't looked at all. Base healing needs to be looked at for the same reason. Was not looked at At all. At all. Plus other things that were sent their way. Just a
Again,
tragedy.
because
Dude.
of how creative our team is and how fun it is to see all their abilities. and
Just a
effects shown with new colors,
tragedy.
like, so immediately,
Wow.
absolutely. So we have one more card art I wanted to show y'all. This is for the bonus update, and this
I
is
sent the
Shinobi
answer
Slayer
key.
Shigeomi.
Ooh.
So I just wanted to show our
I
Dark
did.
Dude, he looks bad.
They asked me to send over.
It's just a
I
Tamagotchi.
sent them all over.
Shinobi, though?
Nothing.
Well, takes
Other.
to slay one.
He's
Nothing.
gotta be the best, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's
Yeah.
rising to the top.
There can only be one.
It's like a ranking. It's a leaderboard. It's very internal. You got to be part of the Shinobi community.
Man.
Got it.
But yeah, so again, this will be in the bonus update. You'll be seeing this in a couple weeks. But just wanted to
Yay.
show y'all, you know, because
So cool.
always better to show it off.
I don't know.
I love being able to show stuff. That's why I love the show so much. So
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I don't know,
we're
man.
excited for that. But y'all have all been waiting for something. Y'all all have something in your heart
Wow.
that you want to see, and it's a
That
man on
sucks.
a boat. I'm talking Charon, the ferryman. So let's show that off
Well,
right after.
hopefully
this
Charon is cool.
Coins is all that it costs to enter the Elysian fields. 2 coins, no more, no less. That is the toll Charon expects. The ferryman of Hades is a simple being at heart. He has but one task and does it well. Neither judge nor jury.
You're the boatman.
He is
You
a
stay with the
fixed
boat.
point in the cosmology of the underworld, a deliverer of souls to their final rest, so long as the proper rites have been performed and payment made. But attempting to board his craft without permission or payment is sure to arouse his wrath, which is never far from the surface. This is not to say that Charon is as irascible as some stories claim.
Irascible?
Rather, he is a professional, a being of boundaries and permissions. To cross one, you must have the other. But those who defy the ancient laws which govern the threshold between the living and dead find that Charon is the first to confront them, and often the last. Yet, while he is a bellicose defender of the underworld's sanctity, he has also been known to console the
Bellicose.
souls of the grieving or the frightened. Though he is fearsome, Charon is not frightening. The souls of the dead have nothing to fear from
I
him.
didn't study enough for this.
He is both guardian and escort in one. He has guided his boat along the shadowed lengths of the Styx and the Acheron for millennia, and souls who book passage upon his craft are thenceforth under his protection against the myriad dangers of the underworld. To ride with Charon is to be ensured a safe journey to one's ultimate and final destination. But the time is coming where Charon must sail on unfamiliar waters. The pantheons are in upheaval, and the souls of the fallen are at the mercy of unfriendly forces. So the ferryman must set forth and bring these lost souls home.
Got a cool aesthetic at least.
Whatever
It looks cool.
the cost.
The cost, no, whatever the cost. No, it's not whatever the cost. It's 2 coins. I remember that.
We're back.
That's my reading
and that was
comprehension from the
Charon,
ACT.
boatman's
So-
lore. So I have an arm now because they told me I could have
Very
one.
specific cost.
So super excited. We've been waiting for this for a long time. As a Guardian stan, I'm super excited to see Charon finally reach the battleground next Tuesday, but that's like whatever, that's super close. But let's get into this. So learn me, this is your baby. This is another one of your god creations.
I'm
what
so
was
excited.
what
Get
was
it,
the path
Clumsy.
leading to
Go
Charon?
get 'em.
How did this happen?
So we had a lot of discussions about who would be the Guardian for this year, and we kind of determined that we were balancing between a couple options, and then we decided that Charon was just a very cool choice, not only because he's just a really sick character in mythology, but because he also is just a character that has some funny Smite lore, if you will.
Right.
So, you know, his actual lore is that he's the ferryman of the Greek underworld.
Yeah.
He is the one that is responsible for moving the souls throughout the 5 rivers of Hades, getting them to where they need to go. And he basically just requires a toll to get on the boat. And he makes sure that all the order is safe and sound in Hades, that souls are getting to where they're supposed to be, and they're not getting too rowdy either. So, specifically, he does a really great job. He interacts with a lot of different gods that are already in Smite. He interacts with Hermes or Mercury, especially to collect up some of the more important souls that come to him. He'll also work with Thanatos, who brings everyone else, the peons, if you will. And then he brings them past Cerberus onto the various layers of Hades. Of course, he replies directly to Hades as his boss, his manager, if you will.
The manager.
And he does also get to convene with Persephone and all the other underworld deities, if you will. But, you know, considering the Season of Souls has let all the souls kind of come up to the mortal realm,
all over the place.
Charon's got to do something about that,
Gotta
right?
come take
So he's going to come to the battleground. He'll take care of it. And
Get
he
to the
doesn't even need
boat.
a toll from you silly mortals, you know?
Well, it's funny that you keep mentioning
Get to
Souls,
the
'cause I
boat.
like Charon because he's one of the few gods that exists that has you know, a pension plan and 401k matching. Like, he's got a job, so how exciting for him. But you know, we've talked about him. We've shared all these trailers and stuff. Is it time to go in game?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let's dive in
I'm so
game and check
excited.
him out. I'm excited.
There he is.
There he is. You know what? Like we like to do, let's just see the kid. Let's blow this kid up.
Sure.
Throw it out there.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
That is so cool.
And that's the
Too
kid, everybody.
many good employees
no
got
further
laid
explanation
off,
needed, right? We
balancing
can
only
just,
in my
be on our-
dreams.
All right, I'm kidding.
He can, in fact,
Yeah, so
row.
let's
That
continue.
does
Obviously,
count.
we just saw a lot of really cool stuff there, and we're still seeing it. I mean, like we told y'all, the boat never goes away. My boy is boating all the time, 24/7.
Oh yeah, this is a huge challenge for our various teams because
Really?
we wanted to do this from the get-go, where we always wanted him to be on the boat, and so that created some challenges, right? It's like, how do we tie the fairy to the man? How do we make sure
He
that
is a
feels like
guardian.
really concise,
A
cool character?
guardian.
And you'll see here that he does a lot of really interesting little animations. He's got some effects touches all across the board, and he just turned out so sick. I'm so proud of all our various teams. And this jump sound, by the way, is just, it's so
cool. It's got the boat
satisfying.
noise.
It's got like a little kerplunk, kerplunk.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
literally
fun.
spent all weekend in a canoe and like boat noises.
They did good with the boat.
This is so real. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm
One
just
of
so
my
proud of our
concerns with
various
him was he
teams
was
and
going
how
to be
they
on his
came together
boat the
to
whole
take
time,
on
and a
such
lot of times when
challenging,
somebody is writing
visual,
something in Smite,
and
it's
really
clunky.
just make it
It's
go
not.
crazy.
It looks good.
About the visuals. Let's talk
They
about
did good with it.
the visuals, shall we?
You probably
I mean,
spent a
we'll
lot
start
of
with the
time on
very
that.
simple. Let's go with the basic attacks. I see him splashing people with that ore.
So Charon has traditional ranged basic attacks. They are just basic attacks, but they're ranged.
attacks.
It's pretty unique for a guardian to
I was about
have
to say, yeah,
ranged
the
basics.
only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Sylvanas, except his are like AoEs.
Yeah, Umoja also has these
Umoja,
kind of
you're right.
normal basic attacks, but she does have a little extra component where if you basic attack allies, it
healing,
does something.
yeah.
This is just standard ranged basic attacks.
More of a
We thought that this worked
paddleboard
out
than a
really well
boat,
for
to be
Charon
honest.
Because he's on a boat, right? He kind of
Yeah.
has this area in front of him that makes it a little bit difficult to be in melee range, so we wanted to kind of give you the best of both worlds, where it kind of looks like if they're getting close to the boat, you slap them with the oar. If they're far away, they get hit
It's actually
by
a boogie
scary
board.
deluge of water. River Styx water, especially. That was the other challenge, is incorporating the River Styx water into the boat and making the boat feel like it's actually, boating around, even
Yeah,
though
not
he
just
is
dragging across the
technically
dirt.
on land. But he's making a little trail behind him.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So I guess next we'll dive into the passive. So what's his passive?
Yes, Charon's passive is Ferryman of Souls, and so this will require some
Gives him
minions
cash,
or some jungle
right?
camps here. But basically how this works is that whenever Charon is in assist range when a friendly lane minion or a neutral jungle monster dies, yes, one of them,
Permanent health
they will leave
per
behind their
stack.
soul in the form of a coin
okay.
on
It
the
is capped
ground.
at 350.
And so Charon
Okay,
is
that's
able
still
to
nice,
pick
though.
up these coins, and each time that he does, he gets 1 gold in his pocket, and he keeps a
That's still
special
good.
soul stack. And he can
Okay.
have up to 20 of these soul stacks.
That's a
So you're
great
probably wondering,
passive for a
what the heck
guardian.
do I do with these soul stacks? Well, anytime that you take a soul stack back to base, you trade it in, and then you get 2 max health permanently throughout the rest of the game. So you can see here, picking up some souls. That passive meter number has lit up to be 3. He's picked up 3 coins, some tolls. And when you go back to base, which, look at this animation, by the way, so cool. You turn him in, that is 6 extra max health for the rest of the game.
That
And
is super awesome.
That's
you'll
nice.
see as well that you can only have up to 350 max health gained this
Not
way.
infinite. That's good. 'Cause
Yes.
That's all I would do is stay in lane and farm minions. Wow.
Yes, and even if you're ever at maxed soul stacks, you still will get gold even if you hit that cap. So don't have to worry about being super extra efficient with this. But, when you hit 20, it's nice to go back to base and get that nice little refresh, get a nice 40
Yeah.
extra max HP. And again, that lasts for the entire rest of the game.
That is super duper awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had something I was going to say, but it just kind of
Yeah,
down
350
to
health is good.
Although I do have
That's
a
good.
good
That's like an item.
that my soul is actually
That's like a whole
worth,
item from your
6
passive.
times and
Not to
4
mention he
pennies.
gets gold.
Oh.
You know, if I happen to die.
Well, that's not one obol, so I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, but you're not gonna make it.
Okay. All right. Well, now that I'm
You
uncomfortable,
have to go to currency.
I got to go to the exchange. Yeah, I'll hit an ATM. So let's go to the first ability, Spectral Surge.
Yes, so this AO1 is a line projectile that explodes if it
It does
hits an enemy
damage,
god.
so it can
basically
proc
it'll just
items
do
on the one.
Normal damage if it's just passing
So.
through minions. This can also go through walls. But as soon as you shoot it over an enemy god, you'll see there's a circle that appears. And so inside of this circle, anyone that gets hit by it does take damage. You don't get double hit if you get hit by the projectile and the explosion.
Okay.
And then
Little
you get
explodey.
silenced for 1 second. On top of that, though,
Oh, it's
you
a
see there's a
silence.
little ground particle and some extra damage going on. And so what's happening here is that every time that you move while you are affected by this debuff,
Why are they not? Huh?
it's probably lagging a little bit. Oh no.
I may have broken.
Oh no.
You should be able to bots orbit 0 and it might fix it.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. A little bit difficult to show here, folks, but you gotta trust me on this one. Anytime that you move, you'll make a new puddle. And every time that you make a new puddle, you'll take damage. And so you also will take damage for the duration of the puddle, however long that lasts. And be slowed as well. So this is effectively slow, silent puddle.
And what I'd argue is the
Slow,
strongest ability
silent
because he
puddle.
splashes you and then you have
That's
to
a
run
strong
around
ability for sure. That's a lot of
That's
things
the
in
wet socks
one.
ability.
with
Damage, slow, silent puddle.
All right, that's super cool though. I like the trailing because if you know you're in a team fight in the jungle and you hit like 3 people and all
Yeah.
of a sudden everywhere you step is just
Yeah.
oh, that's super awesome. All right, excited to play with that. Next up, we have the second ability, Damnation.
Yeah, so this one's super cool. So
Also
what Charon
does damage,
here
will
is
work
he
with proc
opens up
builds.
a rift to the underworld and calls upon some spirits to haunt whoever is in the area. So it does damage, and it also then marks whatever enemy is in the area, as you shall see here momentarily. There's our opening the rift to the underworld. And if an enemy gets hit, there's a little skull on their head. That's their little mark.
That's a spooky boy.
They're haunted here. And so what happens when they're haunted is that they are revealed, and their attack speed's also slow. But on
Anti-stealth.
top of that,
Attack
if
speed's
you,
slow.
as Charon or any of your allies, damages anyone that is marked, you get a shield.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so how this shield worked is
Okay.
that there is an initial value that you get,
And a
every
shield.
subsequent shield gives you 25%
Oh,
of that value.
you
so
keep
you can
shielding.
Keep stacking up that shield, keep fighting back if you want
Oh,
to.
you keep
but you're only gonna get
shielding.
25% of that
More
initial hit. So it is important to
shield
hit that
in
one
my
time, get that
tank
nice little
battle.
buff, and then if you want to walk away, you can walk
Okay.
away, or you can just keep fighting into them. Because again, they are attack speed slowed, they are revealed.
The 1
It's
and
just a
2
good turnaround,
animations
uh,
are in
ability
fact
for
pretty
him.
boring.
Super
I
good
agree.
trade ability, too, for
I
sure.
agree.
Works with
His
allies.
aesthetic of his character
Alright, well,
is
that's super
certainly
cool. I
not
like the
matched
skull
in his
design.
ability
Yeah,
animation
cool.
so far.
Yeah, so this
Pretty
works
pretty
also once
boring
per
1-2.
basic attack or ability. It's not going to work multiple
Very
times. It's not like
strong
Anubis one
1-2.
where you're taking a bunch.
Pretty boring.
Only one time
Only
per
that first
ability.
time.
Yep.
That's good to know. All right, so next up we have the third ability, which I'm super fond of, Swift Voyage.
Yes, this ability turned out so fun. So this is a dash ability where
More
you,
damage,
as
so
Charon,
procs
will
everything
forcibly row
again.
forward at a breakneck
And
pace.
a root.
And so you'll go forward with increased movement speed and reduced turn radius for a couple seconds there. And as you see, he's got a little bit of a
Okay.
weight going on at his side.
So cool.
All
So
right.
this ability is a root, but depending on how accurately you're hitting it, if you hold out that targeter for a second, you'll see there's a center line
Yeah.
and outer lines. That center line will root for 1 second, and the outer lines will root for half a second. And of course, as you'll see here, after rooting a bunch in a row, you will TR. So trust me, 1 second and 0.5 seconds, but
Okay.
yeah, you kind of just get to row people over with your boat,
Silent,
and it's very, very fun.
slow, root,
Accidents be happening on the river.
shield, puddle.
I love it.
He has insurance, it's okay.
All right.
That's where do you think he puts all his coins? He's a smart investor.
Exactly.
Oh man, I am so sad that it's taking us this long to have a beautiful boat in game. Like everything.
Every single one of his abilities
We have
is
to
proc
get here.
builds right
We've been
now.
working towards this
Gladiator,
moment in
shield.
time. It's the ult summon sticks.
I think
This
he's
ability
procking
is
earring
so
as
cool.
well.
I'm so excited to see people play with it. So how this
Obviously,
ability
pretty.
works
And
is
more
that Charon
damage. Every
charges
ability
for a fairly
procs.
long duration.
No
He
wonder
gets
why
crowd
they didn't
control
nerf
immunity,
proc items.
as well
He's a
during
full
this.
proc
And he's
god.
going to summon a massive tidal wave that is global. So a lot of our times in playtests, we've had people try and cross-map snipe with this, which has been a lot of fun. And the other cool part of this is that any time that
It's
you
full
hit
global.
an enemy with the wave, they are feared back towards the direction of the
Oh,
wave.
a
So not
fear.
towards Charon, towards the direction that the wave is going. So you can see there, it's going and going and going and going.
And a fear. Bingo.
It's just
Oh,
gonna
we
go
got a
to loop,
bingo.
and then it's, and it's gone.
Oh, bingo.
So
CC
awesome.
bingo.
Oh.
Please
Keep
keep
going.
So you can also use this as a defensive tool to set up yourself and allies. The first thing that this does is anytime that you hit an ally with the wave, they gain some protections for a short amount of time. And if you decide that you also want
And
to charge
protections.
along with the wave,
Yeah.
it has a 60-unit area behind it that grants you a pretty significant movement speed boost. So
Movement
you can say,
speed
all right,
boost.
boys, let's get in there. Drop
Okay.
the ultimate. Everyone's charging along.
Movement
One thing
speed
you'll see
boost,
Clumsy do
fear.
here in a second is if you want
Global.
to just drop the ultimate and then
Speed
3
buff.
alongside it, you
Root.
can stick along this if you have a movement ability for a long, long time. It feels so epic to be able to charge in alongside your team with this wave, and especially if you're sending enemies back into you, they're going to get hit into a root, into a silence. He's got a lot of tools here, and as you'll notice, not a whole lot of damage. So he does have a lot of CC. He's very CC oriented. He's great at engaging.
See,
He's not
he
so
doesn't
good
need
at
a
the
lot of
whole
damage
stopping,
because all
peeling
of the
thing. He's
defense
definitely really
items
good
give you
at,
damage
being
right
a
now.
distraction, and that's what he does best, I think. He's there to help and hurt. He's got that
He
uniquely
very well
neutral
might end
perspective
up
because
working
he's
in
not a good
solo
guy.
lane
He's not
as
a bad
well.
guy either,
Yeah.
though.
TBH.
He's just trying to
It
keep
depends on
order,
how
you
good
know,
his
and this
wave
how
clear
he's doing
is.
it by fearing the enemy
Solo lane
team
is very
back
wave
into
clear
you,
dependent,
giving
so
ally
if he
shields,
can't
all
wave
that
clear
fun
at all,
stuff.
then he probably
That
won't
is
work.
so
But
cool,
like
and I can already think
PvP
of,
wise,
as an
he would
Atlas
work
fan
just
myself,
fine.
and a Guardian
LOL,
lover,
wave
I
clear.
can already think of a beautiful combo where you throw his global wave ult and Atlas is a laser beam ult, and between the water and getting a tan, I'm gonna call that the day at the beach combo. So
Hey.
super excited for that. But no, this is incredible. Again, I love the aesthetic. I love the boat, and I said this with E-Shell's first skin a little while ago. Every time I see a new god come out, like Lancelot had a horse, and every time they've made a skin for my boy Lance, the horse, I'm always trying to hop on and see what does it look like, how did they change the horse for the skin.
It would
And
be
now I have a boat to do that
nearly
with, and
impossible
I am already in
for
that
his
boat.
kit
And every
to
time,
not be
and
good.
Whenever
Like,
this Charon gets a skin, I'll just get to be like, well, what's the boat look like?
What's the boat? That's
It
the
would be
question, right?
nearly
But I have to give
impossible.
so many huge shout outs to the team that worked on Charon alongside me.
Mm-hmm.
I've just our programmer Nate did a phenomenal job. He also worked with me on the Martikaros, so this is the second god that we got a chance to work on together. Did phenomenal with the implementation. We had, of course, FX taken care of by Andrew. We had our sound design done by Dylan and Kellen, which is very exciting. We had animation by Matt. Just so many names that I want to shout out and just give love to. But just know that our whole team is so excited for you guys to try Charon, this well-requested figure.
This one looks
from
like it'll be able to
mythology,
clear
and
wave.
I can't
Oh,
wait
okay.
to see clips of you guys.
Yeah,
doing those cross
preferably
maps.
you would
That's
not
like the
use your
thing that
3
I'm
to
the
clear the
most excited
waves. That way you could
It's
save
gonna
it
be
for like
incredible. And
escaping or
it took so long to
PvP,
work on
but
it, too, because the team took a group trip to the river Styx.
you might have to like
Really
1-3
hard
to
do
clear
that.
the wave or something.
So-
and
Hey,
slightly
but not
disposition
impossible.
yourself,
You know, there have been myths of people doing that.
Yeah,
before,
true.
So.
Fortunately, we had a bus, so it worked out.
A boat.
But a boat, as it were. But all right, so let's look at some card art though. You know, we got to see the art for
Yeah.
this. So something new.
This default art is
Is
so cool.
Incredible.
He looks so intimidating.
It does.
He's about ready to take all those coins.
And it's cool because he's a skeleton, right? There's no meat on those bones, but he's such a bulky skeleton. Like
Yeah.
Charon, if he ever did have flesh, maybe he never has, but he was a big dude.
Yeah, that was actually one of the really cool challenges that we had as our modelers and
these
riggers
full
can attest
notes.
to.
Yeah.
Is
look
that
at the full notes of
when
this
we
afterwards for
created
the
Charon, even though
Charon
he's
boy.
a skeleton, he does have kind of this meat suit. I don't really know how to describe
Meat
it.
suit.
Where to make sure that we could future-proof skins, you know, if we were ever going to make him a human.
New
we
God
were ever gonna
seems
make him
good.
anything
Ballad
but a
seems
skeleton,
rough.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't look strange with the proportions that he has.
He is almost
has.
guaranteed
so it was
to
a very
be
important
good.
thing for us to do to future-proof
You know?
him, and that goes alongside.
I
all
don't know
of
if
the
he'll be
different buffs that he
OP
has
or
as well,
not,
the
but
boat, making sure that is
that much
really
CC
easily,
in a
you know,
Guardian kit, it would
dissectable,
almost be
put it into
impossible for him
different
to
stuff.
not
Yeah,
be
that,
good.
that was a
You
huge
know?
challenge for our team, and I'm really happy with how it came out. And I
Every
assume
single
someday you'll see
ability
in the future what that will look like.
And so you can
Was
pull that
good
away
on
if
its
you
own
wanna
right,
make the
which makes
definitely
for a
not
baller
skeleton
kit.
Charon, where he looks like a skeleton, but maybe not. So that's all right. Well, that's super
The
cool. See, this
balance
is how
was
much thought goes into this
horrendous.
Stuff. Let's check out so, you know,
Horrendous.
every god launches with a recolor skin. Let's look at what that looks like.
Really cool looking new
I love
god.
this art so much.
Really
So,
bad
but, like
patch.
white and gold.
He feels so regal. He feels like, okay, so we've got like the normal Charon, we've got good Charon, and then we'll see what the next one is. But
Yeah.
Actually, like mortal hands now in the river. It's not the special ones either. So
yeah, I mean,
it's a little bit more
that is
grim.
what happens though, is that if you don't pay the toll, you are stuck in the
Left
river Styx
behind.
for 100 years. Yeah, you're left behind. So
Oh, who's the little skelly friend behind them?
You know, tuck a
he's
little
the
away
soul
for
that he
your
pulls out for his Stygian Surge.
future. Those are his friends,
Yeah, they're still friends.
Jim and Tambo. All right, let's look at the Ascended skin card art.
Yeah, now
Oh, that's
evil
That
Charon.
one's angry.
evil because he's angry and he's red.
He's smashing through something. You can see all the broken up boats in the background. He's
The other
taking
Charons.
that
Match of the day.
that swift journey straight through some boats or something.
So somebody dropped anchor in his parking spot, and he is not happy about it. So, oh man, I don't know.
Oh, I like this
that
a lot.
too.
This is really
Yeah. Let's look at the card arts for the Masteries.
This one might just be my favorite.
Oh, look at that.
Look, somebody's like, listen, man, I brought the coin. Let's just.
Let's just get on with it.
I saw you smash that boat. I ain't about to play those games.
Yeah, me when I'm playing Charon trying to get my passive to max stacks.
Right.
All your coins are belong to me.
Give them to me.
I just love the scale on this one as well. You just get a really
Yeah.
good imposing feeling of, right? Like he is larger than life. He is a deity.
Yeah.
Can't be forgotten.
That is super cool. So, you know, excited for this and excited for what I'm about to say because this is always fun.
Yeah.
We're doing the Race to Diamond.
Let's go.
We've been doing it a couple times now, and we're really excited.
Lermy's
to-
excluded, right? Like
Well,
Lermy will
Talk
still
about that later.
participate. Excluded from the winning, but you know Lermy's going to be out here doing stuff.
yeah, look at him.
So we have the Race to Diamond
That's
for
awesome.
Charon. So yeah, after the update launches, it will be a race to see who can get Diamond, and there will be rewards in store. Keep your eye on Twitter for all the details. But you know, we had so much fun doing it with the last couple releases. We really wanted to make it more of an official thing, an official community push. So y'all get in there, lock Charon, learn to play, love the boat, and unlock all of those cool mastery skins. And you know, tweet some of your best plays at us if you happen to have the capture going. Because, like Lermy said, we want to see those cross-map snipes.
Yeah, there are some
so-
fun achievements with this one too, where they are related
Really?
to those trick shots that you might see.
I don't think I actually looked at those. I'm sure they're fine.
You're talking
definitely
my
sent
language
them by
now.
you.
Yeah, okay. Achievement hunter over here. All right. Well, super excited for all of that. So that brings us to the end of the show. We
That's
finally
it.
got to talk about Boat Boy. We've all been really hyped up for this since the trailer started releasing.
Yeah,
What
it's
feels
been
like an
pretty awesome.
eternity
I
ago
know.
since
Oh my
10.6.
gosh.
So, you know, PTS will be coming soon. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on our socials. We'll let you know when that's open. We're excited for y'all to get in and test everything out and give us that ever important feedback because I said it once, I'll say it a bazillion times. Give us that feedback. It helps make the game better. So, sorry, I have easy flow elbow. Yeah. But cool. So make sure to stick around too
But
because
cool.
after this we have the Dev Insight show. So if you
But
wanted to,
cool.
you know, get a more behind the scenes look at some of the,
I
some of the
know
thought
this, Sarah,
processes
I
that went
know.
into why we made certain changes or why Charon be the way Charon be, that will be
More
waiting.
concerned
for you,
about
along
why
with some
there
answers to
weren't
some
changes.
questions. So again, thank y'all all so much for coming out to another wonderful Smite update show, and looking forward to see you again. Bye, Smite fans.
I'm a lot more concerned about why there weren't changes. I do want to look quickly at Karen's base numbers over here. So I've got his base numbers pulled up so we can go look at those. Just to kind of get a glance at it. Okay. Yeah, passive is 350 health. You get 20 stacks per back, and it also gives you 1 gold. So it'll actually be an okay amount of gold. It'll be an okay amount of gold. His 1 is on a 15-second cooldown, so that's a pretty hefty cooldown. But it does do 210 plus 55. That's not crazy. The trail damage, okay, just 20% slow, and the trail slows. And then the silence for 1 second, okay? At least that's got a decent cooldown on it. That'll stop it from being quite as oppressive, but it's also a potential AoE silence for 1 second, which is nuts. Ability 2, Damnation, 190 plus 40, 30% attack speed slow. Shield health is 140 plus 3% of Charon's max health. Shield cap is 15% of his max health. I mean, he's definitely going to have 3k HP, which means this is potentially a 500 plus HP shield on the person that you're fighting, which is crazy. 12-second cooldown too. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. Swift Voyage. 280 plus 40. That's good base damage. Good base damage with that ability. 1 second root or a half second root. You get 100% bonus movement speed. 15-second cooldown. And it does last for 2.5 seconds. Slow and knockback immune while charging. That is another good setup ability. That's another good one. And then the ultimate respectable base damage up to 500 plus 50%. 1.2 second fear. Up to 40 protections. And it gives you 40% movement speed. And it's global. Wow. So to confirm all of the like CC / buffs in this kit, let's count. Okay, his passive actually doesn't give any of that. So he does have a slow and a silence. Attack speed slow. He gives out a shield, which is like a marked enemies revealed have the attack speed reduced. He gives out a shield. He's got a root, which also is a movement speed buff. He's got a separate movement speed buff, a protection give, a fear on the ulti. So he's got 8 forms of either CC or buffs. So that's a lot. That's a lot. The base numbers aren't too crazy. And if we weren't in such a like proc damage is king meta, I probably would not be so worried about it. But because we're in a meta where proc damage is so disgusting, just him having 4 damage abilities is scary, because like anybody that has 4 damaging abilities like has the potential to get crazy nutty, and that's like the worry, you know. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on him to see if he actually ends up being busted with procs, or even just like from a support perspective, like even if he just gets a Glad Shield and a Pridvin for the CDR and lane, he might still do a good amount of damage. It's just yet to be seen on that, but like his CC and protections and like buffs that he gives out are just nuts. So he'll definitely be good. OP, it's impossible to tell without playing him, but he'll definitely be good no matter what. Overall, I was so pumped. I was so ready for the patch today, and I was just absolutely shot down by Hi-Rez. What a disappointing freaking balance section. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support, and have a twitching day, y'all.